Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of the Rush Hour podcast, with a featured video on the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni upcoming court case. We now have commentary coming from the lawyers that represented both Amber Heard and Johnny Depp in their defamation lawsuit. In Johnny Depp's suit, he defeated Amber Heard. Public sentiment was split, although I would say it was split about 70-30%, maybe 70% on Johnny Depp's side, 30% Amber. It was quite vitriolic, and the thing that I hope is different with this court case than that one is that those that have an opinion that it's Blake who's innocent versus those that have opinion that it's Justin who's innocent don't attack each other. Especially in my community, we pride ourselves on being able to disagree based on information we've been provided. Now, with that said, the information provided by Elaine, Amber Heard's attorney, I think lacks some context, and the information that is being provided by Johnny Depp's side, they don't know the full story as we've been covering it. Hey, they're lawyers. They got other things going on. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to share several clips from Law and Crime's YouTube channel on what Johnny Depp's lawyer has to say about Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and I'm also going to share the full clip of what we have from Amber Heard's attorney. They don't get it all right. We'll start there. They don't get it all right, but we're going to dive into it. So that's coming up next. First, I want to say, if you didn't catch my morning Rush Hour podcast, I covered some firsthand information I got from people that work with Ryan Reynolds. One guy shared an experience where Ryan Reynolds' dog came up to him on set where they worked together for 4 months. These aren't random occurrences. These are people that worked with Ryan, drove him. So if you want to catch some of that tea, you can go check out the last episode. And we also discussed the blind item that there might be trouble in paradise between Colleen Hoover and Blake Lively. So for those that don't understand how it works, every morning and every afternoon, I have a podcast called The Rush Hour. I give you a whole bunch of different news. So like this morning's episode, we had some Blake Lively news, and we also talked a lot about the issue going on in Gaza. So it's a lot of different things. We got some rude comments from people saying, tell me when it's the Blake thing. Okay, well, in a thumbnail and in a title, we go very specific and give you a slice of the story, and then we give you the whole thing, right? So there you go. That's what the morning and afternoon rush is. These videos are more of like a thesis on the exact topic we are discussing. Let's dive right into it. I'm going to pause where need be. There's only a 2-minute clip of this. I haven't seen the full interview yet. We'll get to that when it comes. Here is Amber Heard's attorney, Elaine, discussing Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni.
Blake Lively has no motive to make allegations of sexual harassment public, just as Amber Heard never did against Johnny Depp. With her, what happened in this case in big picture is Blake Lively makes a private complaint of sexual harassment to Baldoni and the other individuals in the middle of the filming, saying, let's get it right and let's be professional for the rest of this filming. Okay,
she's got some of the story, but in the comment section, you already see people giving the motives. Brittany says sexual harassment was a clause in the contract that would force Justin Baldoni to give up the rights to the film. That's a motive. Ryan Reynolds publicly said he wanted the rights to Colleen Hoover's books. Baldoni owns the rights. Only way for Baldoni to lose rights to the book is sexual misconduct. So there is a motive. Now, as far as Blake Lively not wanting this to go public, maybe it was never meant to go public. Maybe it was meant to be a private coercion, and then, finally, as things just got out of hand, she felt she had no other defense. A good defense is a good offense, right? Or the opposite. Either way, I reject the premise that there's no motive.
What Baldoni does is he goes out and hires the same PR firm that Depp hired to eviscerate Amber.
All right, now I reject this because you could argue that Blake Lively's PR firm is the one that Harvey Weinstein hired. You see, there's a handful of PR firms that work across all these cases. Brian Friedman is a lawyer working for Justin Baldoni, but in the past he worked for a client against Justin Baldoni. So I reject the idea that you're going to look at, this professional organization did this to my client, so they must have done it to their client. Now, to be quite honest, I covered the Johnny Depp trial, and I was not on social media. I was just covering what was happening in the news. So I wasn't affected by any AstroTurf campaigns. And I came to the same conclusions that the jury did, which was that there was a lot of credibility issues with Amber Heard's side. Mainly, the thing I was hung up on was the fact she said she pledged or donated to the ACLU when she never did. The fact that she was lying about that made it hard to believe anything else. In this case, with Blake Lively, because there aren't many things that are similar here, so I hate to compare them. But with Blake Lively's case, they left out a lot of context in their misconduct suit. I mean, so much so that every point they made, Justin Baldoni had a response to. So this idea that it's the same, I reject that.
And again, it was to attack and eviscerate Blake Lively. And you see some of the text messages that the New York Times uncovered where these PR people were saying that they were planting false stories. They were very proud of the fact, they said Justin Baldoni wanted to bury her, and they said they can bury her. And they were very, very proud of the fact that this would all be untraceable in the social media. And in fact, Blake Lively was harmed. Her reputation was hurt. She suffered damage as a result of this. Why would he do that if, in fact, this was all false?
Why would he do it in the first place? He has equity in the film. It's his film. Blowing up this film doesn't help him or his family. So I don't see a motive for him to want to bury Blake, because Blake wasn't talking. He was in self-defense. I used the jiu-jitsu, analogy, which I made up yesterday, which is you can't claim Justin Baldoni was assaulting somebody if he was just training for self-defense. The crisis management team he had, from all we've seen, didn't plant those stories. They were mainly ready in self-defense for if Blake came after them preventatively. So again, if you do jiu-jitsu, you don't get arrested for assault. In this case, we are looking for actual evidence that Justin's side buried Blake, and so far, it looks like that was the public's doing.
Why wouldn't he keep it quiet? They have no motive to bring this out because they want the film to succeed. So that's the first big picture. So she finds out he's doing this. She files the complaint. He turns around and retaliates, which, I'll talk about the anti-SLAPP here, but you're talking about this website where he puts all his on. Remember context. There's always context. But New York, as does Florida, they have anti-SLAPP litigation, and New York has really strengthened theirs. If you retaliate, like Justin Baldoni has here with his lawsuit, because she has spoken out on a matter of public concern, which certainly sexual harassment is, he is in danger of getting his case dismissed.
I kind of already think I have an idea of what the comments will say. So for those that don't know, a anti-SLAPP, SLAPP stands for Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. So anti-SLAPP is the protection of people who might just sue you to silence you, which we've had to deal with the $100 million lawsuits that we've been threatened with over our coverage of a fraudulent pregnancy in the Bachelor Nation world, a case that, of course, led, thanks to our audience, to the investigation of Laura Owens for many different crimes by the county prosecutors in Maricopa. More on that if you want to hit the Clayton Echard playlist. We've got quite the story for you for all of our new folks out there. All right, so the comment section, is Elaine going to argue that the comment section is only on Justin Baldoni's side because of their PR? Someone said, you just confirmed that this is Amber Heard 2.0. How ironic. The lady that defended Amber Heard is defending Amber 2.0. Lady, where have you been? The motive is she wanted his film. Amber Heard was also lying. Maybe she wanted the film. Maybe she also didn't want to go back to work there. Maybe she had a bunch of issues postpartum where she missed being with her family. There could be a hell of a lot of things that led her to do what she did. We really can't know for sure, but there is motive, to say the least. So, of course, Amber Heard responded when the Blake Lively New York Times piece came out saying, social media is the absolute personification of the classic saying, a lie travels halfway around the world before truth can get its boots on. I saw this firsthand and up close. It's as horrifying as it is destructive. Which, again, if you're talking about the lie that traveled halfway around the world before the truth can get its boots on, you could reference the New York Times article, which slammed Justin as a monster. So we've got Benjamin Chew, one of the stars of the Johnny Depp trial, and I've got several clips I'm going to share of what he had to say. He's not entirely caught up to speed on everything going on, so give him a little bit of grace, along with Elaine too, because clearly they need to do some more work. But here he is responding to the fact that both Justin and Blake have a case that they can make in this upcoming lawsuit.
The court of public opinion right now, and I can't say this across the board, but I would say a good portion of what we're seeing is a lot of people siding with Baldoni. In fact, when we did a live stream yesterday of this court hearing, 96% of our followers sided with him, 4% with Blake Lively.
I would have said it was 80% to 20%, but this is, I mean, I'm not shocked for those that have caught up on this and have had passion regarding this. 96% are on Justin Baldoni's side. Are they all the product of astroturfing?
And again, we did an episode on the celebrity reactions, and a lot of people in Hollywood are supporting Blake Lively. There's a division there. Based on what we've seen so far, and I got to tell you, we've seen a lot what might make its way into a trial. Text messages, audio messages, video evidence, other images, metadata. Who has the stronger case right now? I know that's tough to ask. Who do you think has the stronger case? Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively, and I am curious, how are they going to prove their respective claims?
Well, I'm going to remain agnostic as to who has the edge right now in terms. I think you're more knowledgeable about that than I am. I do think that the more they can cite to audio tape and videotape, I think that is particularly persuasive.
And of course, so far, the only person sharing the video has been Justin Baldoni. So he's got the receipts that kind of disprove Blake Lively, even though she says, see, that's my point. If it becomes something where you have to bend around to sort of find Blake's point, I don't think that's going to win people over. Like, I don't think people are going to look at that slow dance tape and go, well, Blake's right, he was sexually harassing her. It's like, no, that's not a crime, him directing in the episode, in that scene, what was going on, not a crime. All right, let's continue.
They're before all the drama started. They appear to be one of mutual respect. So the messages allegedly from Ryan Reynolds read, you've been a wonderful collaborator with B, meaning Blake Lively, and that means a great deal to both of us. Being a stand-up person is everything, and you've been just that since day one. Thank you. I'm excited for you to work together. I'm excited for Blake to crack open her creative piggy bank with someone as dynamic as you. This is going to be incredible. I happen to adore you, Justin. Now, we've taken that apart a little bit. There's a lot more to this. We've dedicated a whole other sidebar to that full message. But basically, Ben, you had Justin Baldoni reaching out to Ryan Reynolds, fanboying a little bit. Basically, I hope we can be friends. I've never had a close female friend who's married. Blake Lively, he says, reached out to his wife, so he reached out to Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds was very, very, respectful and kind to Justin Baldoni. He did ask if he could adjust the shooting schedule a little bit so that Ryan Reynolds could be with his family. There was a part of this where I look at it too.
He said he would have the producer's face tattooed on his perineum, which is his taint his butt, taint his balls. The gooch, the area unspoken of. And it's like, yeah, I get it. I get the comedy there, but also he's like saying, hey, come on, move this schedule around for my family.
Two ways. I'm curious how you look at it. One way could say, look, we're putting this out there. Look how much praise Ryan Reynolds is asserting towards Justin Baldoni. Look how respectful Justin Baldoni is. Is he the type of guy that's going to sexually harass Ryan Reynolds' wife, make her uncomfortable, and then launch a smear campaign against her? And the other way of saying it is Ryan Reynolds a little bit in these messages by emphasizing how great it is that you're working with Blake Lively and how creative she is and how lucky you are. Does that support Justin Baldoni's argument that this is laying the breadcrumbs maybe for Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively to take control over the film? So there's a reason they wanted to get it out there. It seems like there might be something beneficial to Justin Baldoni. Do you see it that way?
Yes, I do. I think anything that shows him being cordial and correct and normal, I think, is evidence, certainly that he can cite to say, look, I'm not the kind of person who would make somebody's wife uncomfortable or any woman uncomfortable on the set.
All right. So
other hand, I don't think respectful communications between parties before the fact really count against that person.
Right.
In other words, it almost gives more. We had a witness in the Depp case, for example, who was very praising. He said very nice things about Amber. You know, she was nice to me. She paid attention to me. I think the other side was surprised because this was our witness. But later on, you know, after, you know, what was maintained where the false allegations were made, he said, I couldn't talk to her anymore. And I think that made his testimony more persuasive.
Yeah, I like that idea that you show the authenticity, that in good faith, the other person's not a monster. You know, like, is Ryan Reynolds a monster? Is Blake Lively a monster? You know, people can share their opinions on that, but when it comes down to it, they've worked professionally. They've made it this far, but the question is, did they fly too close to the sun by trying to exert their power over somebody who they thought they could control and, you know, weaponize sexual harassment against him to maybe get the rights to the film? You know, if those, I mean, does that make you a horrible person? Yeah, it does. It makes you, in that instance, for sure.
Oh. Recently published a nearly 7-minute voice note that Baldoni allegedly sent to Lively at 2 a.m. And in the message, he can be heard apologizing. And to provide a little context, it was to apologize for what seemed to be his hesitancy to accept the script changes that Blake Lively had made to a key scene in the film. And the voicemail reportedly coincides with text messages that Lively had sent to Baldoni shortly before this, in which she said, you know, her feelings were hurt, that Baldoni seemed to only admire her passion, but not her actual contribution. She talked about her insecurities. And it was also, by the way, around this time that Lively allegedly mentioned her inner circle of supporters, including her husband, Ryan Reynolds, and pop star Taylor Swift, who had seemed to back her work on the script, told Justin Baldoni to his face how great these revisions were. And he would say, I felt pressured to accept her revisions. I'm sure he would make the argument, I felt pressured to kind of apologize to her in this message. I was just trying to do everything the right way. The other way of looking at it, though, and we'll play a little bit of it in a second, the other way of looking at it, though, Ben, is she could say, he's calling me up at 2 a.m., talking about my body, talking about how he wants all of me. Not to suggest this is sexual, but it's just a weird thing to do, and it's consistent with what she accuses of him. I want to play a quick voice note.
I want to start with an apology. Man, reading the second part of your message, my heart sank, and I'm really sorry. I for sure fell short, and you worked really hard on that. I am far from perfect. I'm a very flawed man, as my wife will attest, and and I'm gonna up. I'm gonna say the wrong thing. I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth. I'm gonna piss you off probably, but I will always apologize and find my way back to center. And damn right, you got great friends if that's how you felt and they knew that. And we should all have friends like that, aside from the fact that they're two of the most creative people on the planet. The three of you guys together, it's unbelievable. Talk about energy and just a force.
He's bending over backwards to try to please her, and he's taking ownership with his apology, even though maybe his communication style doesn't work for her, but someone's got to be the boss. And if he was just the actor in this film, we wouldn't have this issue, but because he was the director, maybe because he told her no, you know, a lot of crazy things. It's like throwing holy water on an evil spirit, you know, in an exorcism movie, when you tell a certain type of person no, someone who doesn't hear no often. And he had to do that. He had to say no, like, we can't, that's not how it's going to go. But he did it in the most pleasant and nice way possible. I don't see a scenario from what I've seen where Justin Baldoni gets out of the hatred of Blake Lively. I feel like he was doomed once he wouldn't give her the candy in the candy shop.
All three of you. But I just wanted you to know that I didn't need that, because it's really good. And it's going to make the movie sing. I am so sorry you have been through what you've been through with these other filmmakers and producers or whoever the people were that you worked with. It just pissed me off. Those heads that, I'm just...
All right, so they go on to discuss, well, is it normal for him to text her a voice note at 2 a.m., which we immediately have to throw that out because he's responding to her 1:50 a.m. Text message thread. So by no means is there any case whatsoever that Justin Baldoni should not have been texting her at that hour. This ain't your Applebee's. This is a film set. They're working sometimes through the night, different times when the kids are in bed, and he's just responding to anyway. So that gets thrown out. I love the insight from Benjamin Chew. I just don't think he knows that much about the case, right? He hasn't even seen a lot of this footage, and so much of that context is really key here. With regard to the shame, there is a shame element that will be played by the supporters that come from the world of Amber Heard and Elaine. Hold on, listen to what I have to say. That being, look, if you come up with the opinion that you think Johnny Depp was innocent, you should be allowed to have that opinion without being slammed as a justice for Johnny guy. If you have the opinion that Bernie Sanders would have been a great president, you shouldn't be shamed as a Bernie bro. If you have the opinion that Blake Lively lied in order to steal this film, you shouldn't be shamed if that's your opinion. If you believe that Blake Lively's innocent and Justin Baldoni crossed the lines, you shouldn't be shamed. You didn't pull the trigger. If you want to agree with what Luigi did, that doesn't make you complicit in what he did. And in society, we like to attach people to whatever side we're angry at. I reject that. I reject any list you want to put me on for my attempt at fair coverage. I reject any, I had somebody in my own Facebook group say, Dave's covering, I have a Facebook community. It's free if you want to join Dave Neal's community. People chat, and someone said, what side is Dave on? And then people commented, well, Dave's kind of split down the middle. He's letting the evidence come out. He's sharing his opinion. Yeah, but everyone's got a bias. What side is he on? I reject that. Now, what I see right now is that Justin Baldoni's got a better case than Blake Lively does, but I don't see anyone with an all-out win unless there's some sort of confession or settlement or things like that. So I reject this idea of picking sides and then we hate the other side. That gets us nowhere, and it kind of stifles free speech, to be quite honest. It becomes very hard to discuss things like this without being called certain names. I mean, you can't discuss the war that's happening in Gaza without being called all sorts of names, regardless of what side you land on. So that fear of people speaking out leads to complicit behavior, and I don't blame people. So feel free to share your opinions. Let's do our best in the comments section not to shame anybody if we disagree with them. Do I think Elaine's opinion here is a little short-sighted and doesn't have all of the information? Yeah, that's where I land. Do I think Benjamin Chew's opinions his opinions are based on what he saw with Johnny Depp, and it's a different case. So either way, I think those that are watching every day know a little bit more about this, and we'll continue to cover it all. People can call me out if I'm hiding any information that Blake wants shared. That's just not the case here. Anything we've got, we're calling out. I can understand a scenario in which Blake Lively doesn't want to do a formal HR complaint and keeps that from going public in the moment. What I can understand is why she doesn't have any evidence of her texting her husband while she's on set. Texting, you can't always pick up the phone. So you text your agent, get down here. Justin Baldoni's crossing the line. There's no intimacy coordinator. I don't have any of that information that happened during the time. We have months later, these accusations were made. Even if it didn't go public, where's the proof? And we need to live in a world where we're kind of fact-based. All right, I got a lot of content to get to today. And we might get new claims from Blake Lively this week. That could drop at any time. Make sure you're subscribed to check that out. If you haven't already scanned the QR code to join the podcast, maybe you can't catch all my content on YouTube. Well, you can get it right there on the audio. You can listen in your car while you're doing whatever the heck you're doing. Maybe you're shopping at Walmart for something and you're stuck in a long line because you got to do self-scan because we live in a post-apocalyptic, late-stage capitalistic world where no one works anymore. Then you can come join us while you're on your mobile. We'll see you then. I'm Dave Neal, and we'll talk to you.